There's no doubt that the Lexus LC 500 is one of the best vehicles Lexus has ever made, but Lexus has kind of taken a very, go figure, a conservative approach in updating the LC. Its stablemate, which is the LS, has got a refresh for 2021, and here for the 2022 LCs, we're still waiting. Over at the Global Toyota Newsroom, Lexus LC partially improved. This is not a refresh. And we'll go over these new advancements and enhancements to the LC in just a little bit. But we're going to go through memory lane here. We're going to go way back to 2019. It seems like yesterday, right? But so the 2019 LC 500 came out. And it was just the second model year ever, right? Because it debuted in late 2017 as a 2018 model. And so we got all these new features. You know, they reprogrammed the 10-speed automatic. They changed the adaptive variable suspension more for comfort, enhanced the steering, revised the variable gear ratio steering as well. They modified the engine mounts, actually brought Apple CarPlay. Imagine that Apple CarPlay was not available in the first year of LC 500s. And I don't believe you can even take it to the dealership and get those 2018 model years updated. You got Amazon Alexa, and they added Obsidian, which is just a glossy black, and there were no new options. Fast forward the year later, and they did a few more things to it. So the MID now includes a fuel cap indicator. Not that exciting. So when you put the car in reverse, they changed the alarm or the indicator to let you know that you're in reverse. Blind spot monitors were now standard. Super awesome. Also, one of my favorite colors, and I just got to drive a Flare Yellow LC 500 convertible. Flare Yellow is my favorite color, arguably, on the LC 500. You just don't see that many yellow Lexuses, and it reminds me of the yellow IS 300s from way back in the day. They also came out with a special inspiration series for 2020 with Nori Green. Then for 2021, the LC got quite a substantial upgrade here, and they reduced the unsprung weight by 22 pounds, which is going to really improve how the vehicle handles. They also did suspension updates to improve smoother and softer suspension stroke. They added active cornering assist. They updated the transmission timing again, like they did in 2019. They changed the shift timing of the multi-stage hybrid, but who would buy an LC hybrid when you have a 5-liter V8? That sounds like heaven. They gave it cadmium orange, and you get Nori Green Pearl now outside of the special editions. They replaced Rioja red interior with Flare red interior, and Bespoke White was unfortunately discontinued. I really enjoyed the Bespoke White, but guess what? Android Auto was finally added 2 years after Apple CarPlay was added. And then here we are in September of 2021, and LC is improved again. So they continue to make improvements. So what are these improvements this year? Well, they've added Iridium, which is the silver color that I had in the IS 350 F Sport of 2021 review. It's a great color. And they have improved the suspension settings. By optimizing the specifications of the coil spring and stabilizer and the control of the shock absorber, the feeling of the ground contact of the tires has been improved. And the linearity of the vehicle response to the steering input and the controllability in the high turning G region has been improved. And so for the vehicles that have like the performance package, which is going to include variable gear ratio steering, that's tough for me to say, and dynamic rear steering. So those controls have been optimized to achieve response and nimble driving. From low speeds to high speeds, they have improved the enjoyment and stability maneuvering by achieving both proper vehicle posture and controllability. So it's just continual refinement. Nothing major on this year, unfortunately. However, they brought this blue and white interior that is very similar, if not identical, to what we saw on the blue and white interior of the launch edition of the LC 500 convertible. And they also give you the marine blue top as well, instead of, the more common black and tan ones that we see. So yeah, cool that we have this gorgeous interior on normal LC convertibles now. And you can also get orange brake calipers with a Lexus logo that are now a manufacturer option. So we're waiting for these announcements to happen for the United States. Doesn't mean this interior and top is going to come for the United States. I would imagine it would, but this is kind of for the Japanese market here, even though this picture is totally California, right? So why is Lexus not giving the LC 500 a refresh? Well, it doesn't sell a whole lot, so putting a huge investment to change the lights, the spindle grille, the wheels. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to them. They would rather just refine what's already out there, which is an amazing look, arguably the best looking Lexus ever. Again, outside of the LFA, they don't feel like they need to invest a whole lot of money for a refresh on the vehicle that doesn't have a high sales rate. And another reason, the convertible came out about a year ago, and that was on the same exact styling of the LC that we were used to. If they were to do a refresh, they would have done it with the launch of the convertible, but that didn't happen. So we're not going to get a refresh on the LC. I expect it to look the same from beginning to end, and they're just going to be small improvements underneath the sheet metal every single year to make the vehicle just a little bit better. We're never going to get a huge overhaul. That means no touchscreen, which that kind of sucks, but maybe in the next LC we'll get the new Lexus interface, but who knows if there's going to be a next LC. It would have to be far more electrified than the current LC hybrid and have a lot more acceleration and power than the current LC hybrid's 354 horsepower. So don't get your hopes up for an LC refresh, or I'm not even getting my hopes up for an LC redesign. If they do redesign it, it's going to be built on a completely different platform than the TNGA platform. It's more than likely going to be fully electric. They can afford to make a fully electric rear-wheel drive sexy sports car like the LC, still sell it for $100 grand and make a profit on there. Unfortunately, it would no longer be an excellent Grand Touring unless somehow they are able to make it a plug-in hybrid, but I doubt that is going to happen. So yeah, the future of the LC, very shaky, and hopefully you guys get a chance to drive one before the vehicle is canceled. Probably not going to happen anytime soon. It might still last for another 3 to 4 years with minor tweaks along the way, but there's a couple other things I wanted to bring up today. Toyota has patented a ridiculous four-wheel drive system where vehicles can turn, literally swivel like a tank turn, I guess you could say, and it can also do crab walks. So here's a really good picture of kind of what Toyota's working on. The vehicle can rotate in place. It can also do the crab walk, which is stay forward but travel obliquely, and it can here's another one. This is the rotation, where it can just spin with the axis right in the middle. That's pretty cool. It can also strafe, so go completely lateral left or right, which is really cool. What are the chances we see this? Extremely small. Toyota patents just about everything they possibly can. They have more battery patents than just about anyone else out there who makes more batteries than them. And when it comes to this, which is going to be, it would have to be an electric vehicle because these all have to have an electric hub motor inside of them. Could you imagine a drivetrain, like a physical drivetrain trying to manipulate itself? It just doesn't make sense. So electric hub motors would have to be inside the wheels for something like this to work. And we're probably 10 to 15 years away at least from seeing something like this. So yeah, don't lose sleep over this. We're unlikely to see it anytime in the near future, but it's cool that Toyota's at least thinking about it and playing with it. Over at AL.com, that's like Alabama's website, Mazda Toyota is starting production in Huntsville, Alabama. And look how many white cars are being produced compared to ones who have a little bit of color on them. But there's no information in here about what Mazda is building. And sometimes they talk about, oh, it's going to have a Toyota hybrid powertrain, things like that. But we hear nothing about what Mazda plans in this Alabama plant with Toyota. So we're still waiting. But yes, the plant has a capacity to build 300,000 vehicles. We know 150,000 of those are the Corolla Cross. And there's going to be 4,000 people employed there, which is good to see. I'm going to end it there. LC500, small improvements to a nearly perfect car, and I'm not upset that we're not getting a refresh. The car looks great, it sounds great, it drives great, it feels great. It's just one of the best cars Lexus has ever made, and they don't need to refresh it. But it would have been interesting to see what they would have done if they were to refresh it. What would they done to the repeating taillights? What would they do to the triple beams up front? It makes you wonder, but I don't think we'll ever see a refresh on the LC, and who knows if we'll ever see a redesign. But I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more Toyota Lexus news. Catch you in the next one, and peace out.